Hello, folks, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto Byte. Today is Monday, November 29th, and I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving break. I know I very much enjoyed some time with my family, some time with my dog. It was really nice, and maybe you guys got some Black Friday shopping in as well, whether it be at the stores or at the markets. There were deals to be found pretty much everywhere this Friday. Strong sell off in traditional equities and crypto as well. So pretty volatile holiday break, exciting stuff. Very happy to be back here with my co-host, Mr. CJ Reichel. CJ, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Monty. Like you said, quite the sell-off Friday. A little bit of scare around that COVID variant. However, traditional markets are back up today. S&P up just over about 1%. We have Bitcoin closing in on 57K here. So markets rebounding and excited to get into the analysis today.
Yes, very excited. Like you said, there was some fear that hit the markets on Friday on the back of that new Omicron variant that was spreading. Thank you for all of the, first responders that were sharing their insights in our community over the weekend. Lots of great insights were shared there. But I think this is set up to be a very interesting week. We had Bitcoin rebounding a little bit. We also had lots of altcoins retesting some critical levels that hadn't been seen, in a few weeks here. Assets including AVAX, including Polkadot, Solana, and many more. But there were some, diamonds in the rough that outperformed the rest of the market. We'll talk about that and a lot more. But before we do, some interesting headlines that I think are worth hitting. 4 years ago today, CJ, was the first time Bitcoin hit 10K. Historically, we've talked about how Q4 is an exciting time for Bitcoin speculation. We saw that in 2017. This was really a historic rally for Bitcoin. It was the first real instance of a mass influx of retail speculation into the space. And as a result, we saw some coins pop besides Bitcoin. We saw Litecoin perform very well during this time. Ethereum perform very well during this time. And many other altcoins, that hadn't been seeing much speculation before this point in time really kick off. So today is the 4-year anniversary of that. As many of you know, Bitcoin does work on a 4-year halving cycle. So it's fitting that we're approaching the tail end of this bull cycle 4 years after that 2017 bull run. But CJ, anything to share with the Bitcoin charts here before we dive into some more news?
Yes, let's take a look at the charts. First of all, I'll just preface it by saying the interesting thing was that when we look at a lot of Glassnode data, specifically filtered for whales and eliminating, exchange wallets, the interesting thing is that they did not distribute over this recent downtrend. They actually bought and accumulated Bitcoin. And interestingly enough, we had Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy come out and say that they purchased an additional 7,000 Bitcoins earlier last week and throughout, the past few days. So adding to the stack there, but that's kind of a little microcosm, I think, of what a lot of the larger players have been doing into the space, kind of scaling in on the backs of these kind of downtrends. First, what I want to take a look at is the weekly chart on Bitcoin, because we have seen some decent supply absorption in these last 2 weeks. Something that's kind of very interesting and similar when you break it down between these two previous trends is, we have our first candle, which changes the trend from bullish to bearish. In our most recent trend, we had something very similar. But then you have kind of a second liquidity candle that grabs a lot more of that liquidity and shows that buyers are willing to step up on those support levels. And we actually saw that very strongly at 53K. And last night formed actually a very bullish hammer candle to end the week. So pretty promising there, the fact that we're actually starting to bounce from that 53 level. It's showing to be a lot stronger support when compared to just that 58 level. So it's nice to see whale buying. It's also nice to see that supply absorption and still some continued convergence. Also, when we look at oscillators in terms of like oversold and overbought and the momentum that we're seeing within the trend, this is kind of like a camel, like you have two humps on the back of the trend that we've been riding. And At the bottom of each one of these trends, we've actually seen something very similar in terms of where the oscillators have ended up. So when you look at the RSI and where we were in our previous trend, we had that bearish divergence, very similar to the bearish divergence the trend is trying to break out of right now. But once we got to that oversold level, kind of where we're at right now, the trend did start to break to the upside. So, I think the key level we need to watch for here is just that 20 smooth moving average at about 58K. I think if we can get a flush break above that, like what we experienced back around 50, or this was about 45K, that really nice bullish engulfing candle there. If we get something similar, I think it's safe to assume the trend is headed back to new all-time highs. But first, we need to rebound. And it's interesting because, I mentioned with the RSI, we have that, retracing to a very similar level. We also have a very similar thing occurring in the MACD. We have that regression to that kind of neutral zero line of the histogram. So interesting stuff there. But overall, I think that we're rebounding to, or we've already hit like those very previous oversold levels. And we're starting to bounce and see a lot of buy pressures from larger whales at 53K. So I think pretty promising from the bulls from a charting perspective.
Yeah, thanks, CJ. Really interesting stuff there. And I want to just tie that in with some interesting on-chain data that we're seeing here today. So quickly, let me pull that up. And I want to just take a look at Bitcoin losses and ETH losses. And these are the number of addresses that are in loss currently, no longer in profit. They are now in losses. And as you can see, we are currently reaching a high. This yellow line marks the number of addresses that are, in the red. As you can see, we've seen a steady incline here since the middle of November, and we're now reaching a 2-month high here, a level at which we haven't seen since all the way back here at the beginning of October when we started to make this climb up higher. And as you can see, this chart, looking at Bitcoin, the total number of addresses in loss is a great instance of kind of the max pain point, and that's something that we typically look for in terms of a price floor. And I think it's kind of reassuring that as we kind of find a bottom here with Bitcoin, since then Bitcoin's price has rebounded just a bit. We're kind of reaching this peak in number of addresses in loss. Kind of coincides with this level here that we saw all the way back in September. And I think that potentially this could mark a point of max pain for Bitcoin traders. And similarly for ETH, we're seeing, not surprisingly, a comparable rise in the number of addresses that are in loss. But similarly, reaching a level of consolidation. ETH is seeming to find some support here. So we'll be watching these numbers to see if those addresses in loss continue to rise. But given the fact that they're reaching these highs, as the assets are kind of finding what looks to be a local bottom and starting to bounce from these critical levels, tells me that the point of max pain is behind us, and that the number of addresses in loss should start to kind of come back down and resume this bull market trend as price action continues in the bullish direction. So just a couple of interesting on-chain metrics that I thought were worth noting, because we like to look for those points of max pain, and I think the number of addresses in loss are a great instance to do so.
Thank you for that, Monty. Some really good stuff. Moving along to another news piece that I see has already been mentioned in chat, but that has to do with Jack Dorsey, renowned Bitcoiner, expected to step down as the Twitter CEO. And so not a whole lot of news yet, just kind of this announcement as a standalone occurred earlier at 8:31, from CoinDesk. So interesting there. Curious to see how Twitter's stock price is going as a result. It was halted as a result of this news. But yeah, it looks like we popped about all the way to 52 and then have really sold off into it before that stock was halted. But, this is interesting. It kind of makes me feel as if Dorsey will step down and potentially focus more on Square and payments and incorporating Bitcoin into that. But definitely interesting and notable within the crypto space, as he's been, such a figurehead and a proponent of Bitcoin thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's I think you're right, CJ. I think he's stepping away from Twitter to focus more on Square. He's been, really kind of focusing lots of his time and energy into kind of the crypto space over the last year or so, it seems. So it seems like a natural progression for both Twitter and for Square and for Jack Dorsey to make that move. So interesting stuff there. One other news piece I wanted to mention that I know some of you guys will like in the audience, and that is this news here, another NFT type news, and that is Santos FC, which for those of you who don't know, is a Brazilian soccer club. In fact, they're actually a very prominent Brazilian soccer club. Neymar played for them way back in the day before he went overseas, and many other prominent European or Brazilian soccer stars like Ronaldinho and even Pele played for Santos FC at one point. So this is a prolific club in a country that loves soccer, and Binance has seen this as an opportunity, and they have created this Santos token on the Binance chain. So, this is very comparable to Chili's, which we've talked about in the past, Chili's fan token, Socios, and their partnership with various European soccer clubs. But this is the first into the Latin American soccer, realm. And I think that this could potentially be very big. Like with Chili's, the benefits are very similar. This will be a loyalty token. It will give fans the ability to vote in various, protocols, whether it be, jerseys that the team wears, even signings that they make, various things depending on the amount of supply you have. That is how much voting rights you get in the Santos token protocol. And they got some interesting rewards as well, like free tickets for certain tiered loyalty members, and various badges and rights that you get by climbing up the ranks of this loyalty ladder. So an interesting application of loyalty tokens into the sporting world. We've seen it last week with Chili's and the New England Patriots, and now we're seeing a further expansion into Latin America with Santos FC. So I thought that was pretty interesting, further validation of that NFT loyalty model. And, just interesting stuff. Yes, Chris, I knew someone was going to mention it. I knew I had to mention Pele if I was going to mention Neymar as well. Yes, Pele played for Santos and many other Brazilian legends, like I said. So really interesting move. I think it's a good move for Binance, good move for Santos. And like I said, just another NFT play to keep an eye on here.
Well, thank you for that, Monty. Also, do want to say thank you to the sponsor of this program, Voyager Brokerage. If you're looking for a new place to trade crypto and earn 10% interest on USDC, check out investvoyager.com. They provide great interest rates and really nice execution on their platform. And if you sign up with the promo code REBEL25, you'll get $25 in Bitcoin when you fund the account with over 100. So pretty nice deal there. Also, if you'd like to go beyond just the Daily Crypto Byte, we're going to be doing a more in-depth analysis and our daily picks for trading and the positions that Monty and I take on Doge of the Day for our members only directly after this. You can learn more about that and get access to it at the link below at marketrebellion.com/try crypto. You can try the first week for just $7. So thank you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day in the world wherever you are. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving and holiday weekends. But with that being said, Monty, any final words?
Nope, just hope everyone had a great holiday. Like you said, I'm ready to be back in these markets, feeling reinvigorated, ready for the end of the year. It's going to be an exciting time. So we will see you guys in the crypto room. Have a great rest of your day and take care. Bye-bye.